Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Joe Biden came out this morning and said to get ready for a new world order. You think I'm kidding? I'm going to show you the video in about 2 seconds. Show you this video, show you what's actually happening behind the scenes, because everything is about to change in America. Everything. We're going to see so much wealth transfer hands over the next couple of years, it's going to knock your socks off. Take a look at this.
I think, my mother had an expression, out of everything terrible, something good will come if you look hard enough for it. I think this presents us with some significant opportunities to make some real changes.
Yep, order out of chaos.
We are at an inflection point, I believe, in the world economy. Not just the world economy, in the world. It occurs every 3 or 4 generations. As one of the top military people said to me in a secure meeting the other day, 60 million people died between 1900 and 1946. And since then, we established a liberal world order, and that hadn't happened in a long while. A lot of people dying, but nowhere near the chaos. And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there, and we've got to lead it. And we've got to unite the rest of the free world in doing it.
So, you heard him. There's a new world order coming out there. Here's what I think is going to happen. I believe these pillars right here, these 8 pillars, are going to be the structure of America's energy, America's power, America's dominance, the cost of living, everything. It's going to be food, energy, distribution, bank lending, travel, vehicles, production, and consumption. So here's how this works. As of now, the dollar has already dropped by 13% since September. 13%, right? Inflation is set for the biggest increase, CPI to show, and oil prices are going to continue to rise 9 months. Because America, last 18 months, we've basically been living off of our reserves. And now the reserves are only going to get restocked if we can buy a barrel of oil between 67 and 72 bucks a barrel, which we're not getting that anywhere globally, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. So we're going to continue to run these oil reserves down. And as that happens and oil prices continue to rise, what's ultimately going to happen? They're going to push this electrification. We need to electrify the grids, electrify homes, electrify cars. Cars need to be electric. Everything has to be fully electric. And if we do this, we're going to, bring America back to number 1. That's going to be the discussion. That's going to be the sales point. It's everywhere. Like right here, WhiteHouse.gov. Fact sheet: President Biden, their budget lowers energy costs, combats the climate crisis, and advances environmental justice. Right. Well, take a look at this. Eating less meat can also reduce pressures on the forest and land to grow animal feed, right? Mayor Adams in New York City, he is committed to reducing emissions 33% in the next 6.5, almost 7 years. After releasing new greenhouse gas emissions inventory, incorporating emissions from food, right? Look at how this all plays together. This is Reuters. Biden administration targets use of climate warming industrial gases. Washington, July 11th. The Biden administration issued a final rule on Tuesday, phasing down the use of gases known as hydrofluorocarbons and the use of refrigerants in air conditioners in its latest step to curb emissions that cause climate change, right? The final rule implements a 40% reduction in the use of HFCs below historic levels from 2024 to 2028. The Environmental Protection Agency said it builds on a 10% phased-in implementation in 2022 and 2023. And you've heard about the air conditioners, that they're targeting air conditioners and getting at stoves, and everyone's heard about this. But here's something that they have not heard about. They're really pushing for this, where they're going to start doing. They're essentially going to be implementing taxes, shipping taxes, $100 billion. They're going to start implementing massive taxes on shipping and distribution. So if you think about it, electrifying properties, it's going to be a big expense. Electrifying your vehicles, also another expense. Then how can inflation come down? Really, how can inflation come down if the cost of energy is going to continue to rise and taxes are going to be increasing with shipping taxes? Right? Inflation is about to go nuts. Inflation is about to go just absolutely crazy. And they're going to turn the money printer back on. They're going to turn the money printer back on because they've already been doing it subtly and slowly with universal basic income, increasing it from 11 cities in 2021 to now 82 cities. So they're dramatically increasing UBI. So they're going to continue to print money, increase taxes, increase the cost of energy, and then push forward a hell of a lot of taxes on the entire shipping industry. But here's something that I found very interesting. This is on FDIC.gov, so I'll click the URL so you can see that this is legitimate. This is what they're saying. They said, do banks care about the environment? Estimating the greenium and implications for bank lending. In this paper, I study the role of banks in financing the transition to a cleaner economy. I find that as firms become more ESG focused, they increase their use of bond financing relative to bank borrowing. And notice what's going on with banks right now, right? You see what's happening with banks. They're going under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, regional banks. So they're saying, I match newly originated loans to existing bonds to show that loan bond spread increases in the ESG score of the firm, supporting a cost capital discount channel. The information and sensitivity of bank deposit rationalizes the main result is stronger ESG preferences are phased through to a lower cost of capital for bond relative to loans. Using the ESG premium implied by bond markets as a benchmark, I study implications for lending volumes if policymakers force banks to internalize right? Like you see what's happening, right? This is on the FDIC website. And then you even hear right here, like they say raising enough money in this way would require $25 per person surcharge on every flight. They want to push these taxes right here on air travel. So when they say that, the real goal here is to combat inequality, just realize that's not. What's going to happen is the people in the middle are either going to go up or they're going to go down. That's what's going to happen. The 1%, being in the top 1%, you really just want to be in the top 5%. Top 5%, and you're going to be able to, I believe, live a normal life, a nice life, travel, do a lot of really cool things, enjoy yourself, right? If you're in the bottom 95%, it's going to get very, very expensive. It's going to get very, very challenging, and the standard of living is about to get greatly reduced. Now, I don't think that this is going to happen in the course of 6 months, but I think this is going to happen over the course of the next year, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to just get much, much, much worse, progressively worse. And so when you look at these situations like these 9 states banning the sale of gas-powered cars, and then you just simply connect the dots here on this website, and you look at, we'll click on funders and partners, and you see some of these really, really, really big names. It's very clear that this is 100% going to happen. Verifiable facts. UK government, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Denmark, Federal Ministry of Environmental, Nature, Conservation, and Nuclear Safety, ARUP. And then you look down here, you have IKEA, L'Oreal, Oak. You have George here. Everybody knows George, right? FedEx. You just have all these huge companies, very, very well capitalized, powerful companies. You have Hillary here. You have World Bank. You have all these companies, and they are all coincidentally saying the same exact thing that, that Mayor Adams is saying in New York City, and all of these other points that I made here are all to be found coincidentally right here on this drop-down menu. Right here on this drop-down menu. With energy, food systems, transportation, ports and shipping, urban planning, waste management. Everything that I mentioned here, everything that I mentioned right here is all listed right here on this website. Right here on this website. For example, energy and buildings. This is, I believe, one of the most important, is implementing and enforcing building energy regulations and mandatory performance standards for existing buildings. This is a very, very, very big deal. If you own residential real estate, commercial real estate, these new standards are going to be huge. If food is something that you greatly care about, like I'm sure you do, you can see here that they want to reduce food waste. How do they reduce food waste? Right? Maybe controlled portions. Right? That could be one way. Like how do you actually do that? We're going to find out. So you look at this planetary health diet, right? It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. So when they say, and he comes on here and he says that there is going to be this, New World Order, right? And whenever the people hear that, and whenever I would hear that, I was like, whatever, right? But when you connect the dots and you actually kind of like really look at things and you pay very, very close attention to it, it's very clear that this is in fact what's going to happen, whether you like it, whether I like it. This is what's going to happen. And if you are making, let's just call it $50,000 a year, you're making, $4,200 a month, and your goal is, maybe you're living an okay life right now, or you're kind of like barely making it. You probably need to make double over the next couple of years to be able to maintain the same standard of living, right? And so that's the way to look at it, in my opinion, is you probably want to set a very, very, very big goal, because It's better to overshoot the goal than to undershoot it. And so the world's going to get much more expensive. The world's going to get much more challenging. Prepare for it in advance. And if you do, and you're really, really smart and strategic about it, you're going to be able to pick up, distressed assets. You're going to be able to do things. But if you ignore this, you ignore the facts, I'm telling you it's going to be a huge mistake. It's going to be a very, very, very big mistake. I know it's uncomfortable looking at this information sometimes, right? It's uncomfortable looking at this saying, you know what, this is where we're headed. But, there's an old saying that I find very, very true. It is smart people see things for how they really are, and everyone else sees things for how they want them to be. What do you think about it? Drop below, hit the like button, add me on IG. And if you want to fix your credit, you want to position yourself for the greatest wealth transfer of all time, you want bank funding, bank financing, maybe you want to buy a car or a home, but you need great credit, maybe bad credit's holding you back, we'd love to help you. At my company, greatcreditfast.com. That's greatcreditfast.com. If you have late payments, medical bills, charge-offs, foreclosures, bankruptcies, repossessions, any negative item on your credit report that's impacting you, don't let it sit there. One late payment can hold your score down for upwards of 7 years and 180 points. 180 point reduction. Drop below. I'll catch you guys in the next video.